From the pup tent on Brokeback Mountain, it's the IGN Digigods. And now, two men who wish they knew how to quit each other, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
All right, Mark, we're still on the lavaliers, but we're back indoors.
We are.
We had some interesting reaction to the outdoor thing.
All negative.
Well, Chevelle Dixon didn't think it worked out so well, but Al in San Francisco thinks it's great. He thinks we should be. I'll read his email later.
You know who didn't think it worked out also? Mark Kaiser.
Oh, that's too bad. That's too bad.
Man's never record the show outside again.
Oh, we will though. We will. At some point, we'll record it. It'll be like in a mall, or it'll be...
great, in a mall.
I'll read you Al's email from San Francisco.
Please do. Now, by the way, speaking of Al's email,
yeah,
this has nothing to do with Al's email.
Yeah.
We got a lot to talk about. First
yes,
of all...
do. What are you... Hey, here.
Yes.
What are you... Boy, that air conditioning is kind of loud.
Is it?
The microphones are picking it up, I think.
We'll turn it off. Folks, I'm letting you know that as we record this outside, it is 94 degrees outside. Inside, nice and cool because of my air conditioning. But outside, 94 degrees. Wade Major, not caring, wants me to turn the air conditioner off. Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's see if it improves the audio quality. I'm willing to suffer. I'm willing to suffer.
Well, but is the listener willing to suffer?
Yeah, I think they'll be willing to suffer with us.
Okay. Let us know what you think of the air conditioning at gods@digigods.com.
Yeah.
Although we've done the show with air conditioning before.
I know, but they're more sensitive mics.
Oh, that's right. We're using lavaliers now.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
By the way, one problem with the lavalier is I can't take it off. So I'm tethered. Hopefully, the lavalier will stretch as long as the air conditioner controls.
Yeah, I think you will.
By the way, we have two things to talk about today as I turn off my air conditioning. We need to talk about a notable, sad, tragic death in the entertainment industry just a couple days ago. And we also need to, of course, weigh in on Ben Affleck.
We need to talk about what we're going to be doing in July of next year. I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be there at the mass suicide that will take place if Ben Affleck's allowed to play Batman.
Now
that will be awesome.
Before Wade and I even knew that Ben Affleck was cast as Batman in the in Zack Snyder's Superman Batman movie, we hated it already. And you know what? We didn't hate it for a snarky reason.
Who watched Daredevil and said, "Boy, that guy, he is a model superhero."
Look, here's the thing.
Step it up.
Okay, here's the thing. If Ben Affleck, not an interesting actor, right? Never liked him. Like
good director. He's become a good director.
That's the thing. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Why is he? Here's the thing. If he's good enough for Terrence Malick, Terrence Malick can probably get something out of Ben Affleck, having been the star of To the Wonder.
Sure.
That's different.
Yeah.
Now, Ben Affleck, already not a very good actor, or a very interesting actor, whatever, he's fine. But in the hands of Zack Snyder's going to get nothing out of him.
No, nothing.
So already an actor who gives you nothing, you'll get nothing once you put him in the hands of Zack Snyder.
Precisely.
Put him in the hands of Terrence Malick, you might get something out of him, that's fine.
Sure.
So already you're thinking to yourself, all right, this is a completely average actor, a nothing director. Already the performance will just be a bunch of brooding and 3-day beard and whatever.
Yeah.
The other issue is that Ben Affleck just directed the Oscar-winning Best Picture of last year,
which was produced by his good friend George Clooney, who swears he'll never make a mistake like playing Batman again, and apparently did not share that wisdom with his buddy Ben.
Now you have to assume that Ben Affleck contacted George Clooney and said, "Hey, I got this offer. What do you think?" And I can't imagine Clooney said anything other than
Clooney allegedly has a poster of himself as Batman in his office to remind himself to never do something like that again.
That it's pretty well documented that when Clooney did that film, big failure, franchise destroyed, that was the moment when he looked at himself and looked at his agents and looked at his manager and said, "I will not do crap anymore. I have enough money.
Yeah.
Forget the money. I'd rather do good things." And of course, he's done good things ever since. He's won an Oscar. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So the thing is that. I feel like this only tarnishes his nascent, very promising, extremely promising, surprisingly promising, admittedly promising directing career.
I would agree.
That's what I say. Really, my disdain for this casting is not based on some it's the Gigli guy, whatever. Who cares? Yeah. It's really because he's only an average actor. He's being put in the hands of a very average, below average director, and he's developing into just a terrific, terrific director. So why not just take that track? Why do something like this?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess he already has plenty of money.
It's a mystery.
I mean, he's got to be making tens of millions of dollars for this.
Tell us about that cinematographer dude.
Wade, why won't you let me be angry about Ben Affleck?
It's depressing. I mean, look, I would, here's my ideal casting. Are you ready for this?
Christian Bale.
If you're going to do Superman and Batman, okay, who would your ideal Superman and your ideal Batman be?
Christopher Reeve. And,
No.
So you're saying this because you have the ultimate answer.
Well, kind of, sort of. I don't really have the ultimate answer. I just have, ideas.
Oh, go.
There are pairings that I find compelling.
Don't let me stop you.
Well, no, never mind. Never mind.
Okay, that's it.
No, well, I mean, I find it fascinating. If you were to do like like Patrick Warburton as Superman.
Well, that's just satirical.
No, exactly. I like that. Because he was the voice of Superman in that Jerry Seinfeld commercial, right?
All right, let's move on.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, that's terrible.
All right, moving on.
Moving on to a very notable death in the last couple of days.
Yes.
I'm going to recommend about 5 or 6 films, all shot by the same guy, and you'll be like, oh my God, he shot all those films?
Mm-hmm.
This guy's amazing.
Yep.
We are talking about Gilbert Taylor. Now, Gilbert Taylor is the cinematographer of, I'll do this in chronological order.
Yep.
By height. Chronological order.
Yeah.
Hard Day's Night, shot that, 1964. Dr. Strangelove, try that again. 2 Polanski films, Repulsion and Cul-de-sac. A little film called The Omen, Richard Donner.
Mm-hmm.
Another little film, maybe you heard of it, called Star Wars.
Yep.
And he's pretty much best known for Star Wars. But, he also shot Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon,
Yeah.
that's right.
So the guy who shot Star Wars and Dr. Strangelove passed away at age 99.
99. You do realize that there's something about being a British cinematographer. This is like if you look at the great British DPs of, the 50s and 60s primarily, like Freddie Young and on and on and on and on, with the exception of Jeffrey Unsworth. They all live to be like 95, 98, 99, 100, 102. It's crazy. It's like something about being a British DP. You just live forever.
Well, it's not too late. Wait to change careers.
I know.
What's interesting about Gilbert Taylor, when you read about his involvement with George Lucas in Star Wars, is that Gilbert...
He hated the experience.
He hated the experience. What's funny is that Gilbert said, Lucas worried about the actors, I worried about the look. Right, and he and Lucas didn't get along, so it was like Gilbert, you worry about the look. George, he'll worry about the actors. Cut to 30 years later, all George Lucas cares about is the look, and then nobody cares about the actors.
Yeah.
So really, it's come full circle.
Yeah.
Anyway, Gilbert Taylor died at the age of 99 a couple of days ago, so it's some great recommendations just based on his movies: Dr. Strangelove, Hard Day's Night, Repulsion, Cul-de-sac, The Omen, and The Omen 2.
Yeah.
And of course, Star Wars, Flash Gordon, and there you go.
Mm.
Also, he also shot Dracula, the 1979 Dracula, directed by John Badham.
The one with Frank Langella.
Frank Langella
And hair, that great hairstyle.
Frank Langella, who, by the way, I just Netflixed Robot and Frank.
Yeah.
Now, Robot and Frank is a film from last year. It was a big hit in Sundance. Frank Langella, much older now, and terrific.
Still a great actor. He was great then. People don't give him enough credit back then.
I agree.
Yeah.
He plays an elderly cat burglar. This is in the near future.
Yeah.
It's not a futuristic tale. It's not a science fiction tale.
No.
It just takes place in the near future.
It's science fiction-ish in ways.
In a sense.
Yeah.
And he plays an elderly cat burglar living outside of New York City in a nice little cottage home. And he's pretty much been discarded by his family. And his son, played by James Marsden, gives him a 24-hour live-in caregiver who will cook for him and clean the house and whatnot. The caregiver is a robot. And the movie's called Robot and Frank, and that is the movie. And it was a big hit at Sundance. I didn't quite understand it, but... I mean,
the caregiver is Frank, by the way, and Frank Langella plays Robot.
Steve Robot.
Yeah.
I didn't quite... I mean, it was cute. I didn't understand all the love for it. It felt like the least interesting version of that material. They could have done a lot better. How did I get off on Robot and Frank?
I have no idea. Anyway, we've got a bunch of that. We got music today. We have a giveaway. And
what?
Yes, and we also have a brief interview with the extraordinary directing duo of Scott McGehee and David Siegel, who, of course, did What Maisie Knew and have done great films like Suture and The Deep End. And I had a chance to chat with them a little bit about What Maisie Knew, which we covered last week. They are a cool couple of guys.
Now, wait, here's the thing.
I really root for them.
I never get invited to the interviews. Why is that? Go.
Because you have a day job.
Oh.
That's
using
why.
that as an excuse.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
We're still trying to hook up John Badham, you know.
We are. You know what? John Badham has been offered to us as an interview.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk to the guy.
Yeah.
And as you know, I have a day job, so I'm willing to cede an interview with the director of Saturday Night Fever and War Games to you.
Thank you.
Why won't you set that up, Wade?
We're working on it because he's shooting stuff. His schedule is tough to wrap and to deal with. So we'll get it. We'll sort it out.
All right, now
we will sort it out.
Now, Wade, I'm under the impression that we have a giveaway.
Yes, we do. We have a giveaway. In fact, let's just get this giveaway going right now. We have 5 copies of the Palme d'Or winning Amour, Michael Haneke's Oscar-nominated, extraordinary...
Oscar-nominated?
Oscar-winning, but they've got the thing on, 5 Oscar nominations. They got, including Best Picture. The nominations in this case are more significant than the win. But yes, it won foreign language film, but it was nominated for Best Picture and 4 other categories. And, it won the Cannes Film Festival. It's just great. We've got 5 copies of Amour that we have been graciously given from Sony, and we are going to give them out. So just go ahead and send us an email.
This is the part of giveaways I love. When you have not worked out in your head what the listener has to do to win the you are literally going to just pull this out of your butt right now.
Well, no, we're going to randomly pick.
Okay.
Randomly pick.
Okay.
It's a random pick.
Okay.
So we will give 5 very lucky people a copy of the DVD of Amour, which I have in my hands, by the way, right here. They are in my hands.
Wade will autograph it for you.
I will.
No, he will not.
I will wipe them with your sweat.
I don't know what that means, and I don't want to know.
Yeah. Anyway, we need the emails sent to us at gods@digigods.com. Just put Amour, A-M-O-U-R, in the subject line. And include your name and address, please. And as long as the email is date stamped by Friday, August 30th, we will be able to put you in the running, and we will alert you by email if you are one of the fortunate, lucky winners. It's going to be good times. It's going to be good times. So that is Amour in the subject line, name and address in the body of the email, gods@digigods.com. Good times.
It's a good giveaway. It's an Oscar-winning Best Foreign Film.
It is.
It's a Palme d'Or winner.
It's a fantastic film.
That's a great film.
Oh, it's a great film. So, Mark, we're going to start off talking about some music. I'm going to let you carry the load of it, but I do want to make mention of a particularly cool CD set, which also includes a DVD. A Night in Paris, Christopher Cross, because, I'm a big fan.
When I hear A Night in Paris, that's not the movie I think about.
No, this is a double CD and DVD combination set. Christopher Cross, Night in Paris, and it's pretty great. Christopher Cross has never been my particularly favorite live performer, but the songs are just awesome. And this is a great collection of stuff. And of course, he's touring right now and will be through the end of the year. And this is all kind of in tandem with promoting his tour. But there's a lot of great stuff. Arthur's Theme, obviously. Sailing, Never Be the Same, a lot of the stuff that we all remember. But, some of the lesser-known stuff, Say You'll Be Mine, I Really Don't Know Anymore, Walking in Avalon, Minstrel Gigolo, a lot of great stuff. So it's good times, really good times. Christopher Cross, still kicking it, still moving it. He was the Grammy sensation in the 80s.
I think
came out of nowhere.
Christopher Cross and Toto should do they should
the
tour
best.
together and be the all super white boy lame bands of the 80s.
That would be the best. I would love that. Especially,
I miss the rains down in Africa.
You know what? Air Supply. Throw Air Supply in
Air
there.
Supply is good
Oh
too.
my gosh, that would be great. I love the hairstyle in those guys.
Now that's a mass suicide.
Yeah.
Get Ben Affleck. All right, here's the thing, Wade. We'll get to some music right now, then we'll get on to new releases now.
Yes.
I have to say, before we do music, I have to make an admission, Wade, right here on the show.
What's the admission?
The admission is that when I was a kid, I had the worst taste in music ever. Led Zeppelin, didn't get it. Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, these super cool bands, who, like all the music lovers
You
love.
didn't get it.
Didn't get it.
No.
The band whose members I could name, even before I could name the members of the Beatles,
Right.
was Journey. In fact, I remember that I would sit in front of my television watching MTV, back when they used to play videos, back in the 1930s, and I would literally sit in front of the TV watching MTV, waiting for Journey's Separate Way video to come on.
No kidding.
Yes, Separate Ways. I would wait there for hours in front of my TV, legs crossed, latchkey kid, mother comes home, what are you doing, son? Waiting for Journey's Separate Ways.
You were a latchkey kid.
Yes, I was. I was basically an idiot. So now what we have is a documentary called "Don't Stop Believin': Everyman's Journey," and and this is a fun little documentary. Here's the thing with this, as I'm sure you guys probably know, the lead singer of Journey, Steve Perry, long since gone. So the guitarist Neil Schon, he needs to find a new lead singer. Can't go on tour without a lead singer. What does he do? Goes on YouTube, starts looking at YouTube videos.
Serious?
Singers.
That's how it
They
happened?
find this guy in the Philippines, this guy Arnel Pineda, who was singing in a Journey cover band or whatever, singing Journey songs, and the guy was spot on, just like Steve Perry. Neil Schon emails this kid and says, "Are you Arnel Pineda?" This is Neil Schon. And Arnel Pineda is, I'm obviously paraphrasing heavily, but Arnel Pineda is like, "What, are you kidding me? Who are you? Was this a practical joke? Is this my friend Steve?" And it turns out that that's how they found him. On YouTube.
Why not just make up with Steve Perry and just be done with it?
You know why? Because Steve Perry was one of those guys. He was just another one of those front men who just wanted a solo career, and he got a solo career. It had one hit song, which wasn't even a very good song, "Oh Sherry," lame. But this is all about finding Pineda and going on tour and the resurrection of the band.
Wow.
So I think it's cool. The guy sounds just like Steve Perry. He's definitely... Yeah, look, it's one thing to find a guy who sounds like Steve Perry.
Yeah.
It's another thing to put him on stage in front of 15,000 people and say, sing these songs and captivate this audience. And this guy does it.
Wow.
He really does.
Wow.
So you'll hear all the big songs, "Don't Stop Believin'" in Separate Ways and blah, blah, blah. So it's good stuff. I thought "Don't Stop Believin': Everyman's Journey" was just terrific. Of course, I have horrible taste in music. Scorpions. This is on Blu-ray, by the way. Scorpions, Moment of Glory. This is a live concert. I'm not a big fan of the Scorpions. I do love their one or two, hit songs. "Winds of Change,"
"Rock You
and
Like a
"Still
Hurricane."
Loving You. Yeah. Well, here it's called Hurricane 2000. They've updated it.
Oh, well,
They've
yes.
done it. What's interesting is that they did it in front of a acoustic, in front of like the Berlin Orchestra.
Yeah.
So I always like it when heavy metal bands do their songs acoustic, because then you get a sense of whether the song is well written or not. If it's just a bunch of chunky power chords played at 500 decibels, the songwriting won't hold up. But if you do those songs acoustic in front of with an orchestra, you realize if the songwriting is good or not. And with Scorpions, it's still okay. They're still not my favorite band. Anyway, Scorpions, Moment of Glory. There's that. Also, live at Montreux. You know what? I swear you could probably build the pyramids again
With all the Montreux DVDs,
with all the live at Montreux DVDs. Here we have, and this is the Blu-ray of Santana and McLaughlin. This is from 2011. This is Carlos Santana and John McLaughlin. Now, what they're doing is they're playing tracks from their... they had an album in the early 70s called Love, Devotion, Surrender. And there's a bunch of songs from that here, as long as some other classics. Black Satin and Love Supreme and, Shake It Up and Go. So I've seen Carlos Santana in concert. I saw him at Red Rocks in Denver. He's very good. McLaughlin, not as familiar with, but he's still a very cool guitarist. So Santana and McLaughlin. Wade, the Bee Gees.
Oh, yeah.
When I say the words B and G, what do you say?
Bee Gees. Barry Gibb. Brothers Gibb.
They are the best.
Yeah. Barry's it now.
I know.
That's really sad.
It is really sad. Anyway, this is live performances of all their big hits. Grease and Jive Talkin' and More Than a Woman, and they're awesome. They had like 10 awesome songs, but those 10 awesome songs were freaking awesome.
It's uncanny how enduring and legendary those songs are. They define an era. There are very, very few acts that define an era. They're one of them.
No, that's true.
The Beatles are another. I'm not sure how many others there are. U2 is kind of evergreen.
Well,
Rolling Stones are sort of transcendent.
Well, there are bands that represent a musical movement, like Nirvana represents a musical movement.
Yeah.
But when it comes to an era, then definitely the Bee Gees. I've got a couple more. This one, which is off at Spindle, which annoys the hell out of me, is just terrific. Cream, Farewell Concert, decent sound, considering it's an old concert. We're talking 1968. Now, Cream was a great band with Eric Clapton, Ginger Baker, and Jack Bruce. And I just love Cream, Sunshine of Your Love, and White Room. They play that here. This was their final concert in Royal Albert Hall in London. Don't make me tell my Royal Albert Hall story, because I will.
Every time I hear the Sunshine of Your Love, or whatever it's called, the only thing I can think of is Randall Tex Cobb doing that horrible, horrible dance in the Gene Hackman thing.
Uncommon Valor?
Yeah.
Uncommon Valor with a very early James Horner score.
He did that comes on the radio, and he starts doing the little dance, and then Randall Tex Cobb, he's dancing, and then next thing, Reb Brown goes and dances with him, and I'm thinking, I'm watching Randall Tex Cobb and Reb Brown dance to Cream. This is really bad. And somehow the movie wound up being somewhat okay, but my goodness, that was an embarrassing moment in movie history.
Wait, my recommendation...
Reb Brown played Yor, the Hunter from the Future. You know that, right? Just making sure you know that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wade, my recommendation, big-time recommendation, is something from Draft House Films. We love Draft House. We love Alamo Draft House. We love the films that Draft House comes out with on Blu-ray. We have a documentary called Band Called Death. Now, Band Called Death, they were a very kind of loud band. It was a bunch of teenagers, African-American teenagers, and they formed in the early 70s. This is kind of a little bit before disco and definitely before punk. So they're sort of a pre-punk kind of a band. And they never really made it as big as they probably hoped. But the movie about their music and about their life is just beautiful. It's not what you think it's going to be. You think it's going to be just, loud and obnoxious, and the band's called Death, and how good could they be? But it's all about punk history, and it's a little bit like waiting for Don't Say Godot, waiting for Sugar Man, where it celebrates this music. These guys are from Detroit, and a wrong turn here, a wrong turn there, and this band, it turns out, never really went anywhere. But it's just beautiful. It's all about like love and family and great music, and it's a very high-spirited documentary, and I just think it's a really cool movie. A Band Called Death is from Draft House, and I think you guys should rent it. It's cool.
All right, we're going to get into some new movies now. I'm going to do a quick rundown on some straight-to-video stuff, and then Mark can launch us into the outstanding, remarkable world of movies that have actually been in theaters. There's a really strange thing that's
This has been in theaters?
Yeah, that was in theaters.
Really?
Didn't you know that?
I did not know that.
Sure was. It was out for 10 seconds. I nearly had to review it on the radio, and then we changed days. Anyway,
this has not been in theaters.
That was in theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
What, did like some horrible limited in some limited release?
Well, they're all horrible limited releases these days. Nothing gets distributed for more than about 48 hours. But there's an interesting thing that goes on with Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson, the billionaire, the BET billionaire, right? He went and he bought Image, and then he bought Acorn, and he was buying up this like media empire, and nobody really quite understood how it was all going to fit together. And I'm not sure I still do. But what's interesting is that a lot of the stuff that he releases is very clearly BET audience stuff. And one of those is From This Day Forward, which I don't know if this is an answer to Tyler Perry's success, where he kind of found and mined this audience that nobody really knew existed, a much more family-friendly audience, or if it's the Ice Cube movies. Remember, Ice Cube became a family-friendly guy for about 18 seconds. Or if it's entirely all of those old Morris Chestnut romantic comedies from the 90s. Remember those?
Sure.
There were like 17 of them.
And I like none of them.
And they all had titles like Oh, No, She Didn't, and What You Got for Love, and just
What You Got for Love.
They're just all these crazy titles that just were meant to evoke just some kind of wholesome urban romance. Anyway, and they all had Morris Chestnut standing there looking guilty, and some black woman staring him down. Every single one of them. Anyway, he's not in those anymore for some reason. But this is much more along the lines of it's called From This Day Forward, which is a lot like Waiting to Exhale. Is the only analogy I can make. And it's like a friendlier, gentler version of Waiting to Exhale on some level. Anyway, a couple of women who just have all kinds of issues with their men. And this was originally aired on the Gospel Music Channel. I must confess, I had no idea the Gospel Music Channel even existed, or that it was airing original movies. Is it okay? It's fine, I guess. There are 18,000 other movies just like this. It's not that mind-boggling, and it probably doesn't warrant as much time as I've given it. Stephen Moyer in Evidence is, this is one of those films. This is also from Image, and this is higher production value. This represents kind of the mid-level range now that we're getting with straight-to-video stuff, where they're putting some money into the production value, and the script is pretty decent thriller stuff. It's all about you've had this brutal murder at a gas station, and they have to piece it together with all of the found footage from cell phones and surveillance cameras and all this kind of stuff, and it becomes a cat and mouse thing, and nothing particularly earth-shattering here, but it's well done and has a wonderful performance from Radha Mitchell, who I still don't know why she isn't a bigger star. She was in that Woody Allen movie. She was great. What was it? Megan and Megan, Julie and Julia.
She was one of the Riddick movies.
Schmutzy and Schmutzy. Yeah, I mean, she's great. I love Radha Mitchell. Anyway, Schmutzy and Schmutzy, you liked that, did you?
I remember the sequel, Schmutzy and Schmutzy 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Radha, she's, Stephen Moyer is kind of the name here, but Radha Mitchell is just terrific. And, probably could have been a higher profile film, but anyway, that's on Blu-ray and looks quite nice. An American Ghost Story from director Derek Cole. This is from Breaking Glass. You know what? This is one of the better genre films straight to video that I've seen recently. Has an interesting... it's a decent ghost story, and it's kind of all done from the point of view of a writer. So it's got that, the story within the novel thing going on, but not bad. Great director commentary from Derek Cole and a couple of the actors, and it's, I'd say if you're a genre fan, worth checking out if you like ghost movies. ARC does, this is really interesting. ARC Entertainment is pioneering this, they're getting stuff from Mar Vista Entertainment, but it all gets released through ARC, and they're pioneering this low-budget disaster thing that is a little bit like what our buddies over at the Asylum are doing, except these aren't mockbusters, they're just disaster films. And there's like 2 or 3 of them a month. Here I've got Seattle Superstorm and Super Eruption. Now, they all have pretty much the same kind of artwork, which is just something being completely destroyed. It all looks like some kind of a scene from,
some Roland Emmerich film.
Some Roland Emmerich film, yeah. They all look like knockoff Roland Emmerich movies, which is kind of funny. Isai Morales, who just lost his attempt to become the president of the Screen Actors Guild, stars in Seattle Superstorm. And Super Eruption really doesn't have anybody of note in it that you should worry about. But that being said, I think as schlocky as these are, they really do know their audience, and they kind of have them down to a science. And all hell breaks loose. The funniest one with Super Eruption is that it all takes place at Yellowstone National Park. The idea that somewhere underneath Yellowstone, it's not just geysers anymore. It's a giant Yogi Bear who comes exploding out of the earth to walk like Godzilla.
Oh, a documentary?
It is, in fact, yes. No, it's just about a giant volcano that pops up through Yellowstone like a big zit. It's pretty funny. And Seattle Superstorm is just all about being able to put that artwork on the cover, which shows the Space Needle cracking in half.
Awesome.
And I'm sure this will sell really big in Seattle. Anyway, that's a nice little subgenre that ARC is mining. And let me plow through a couple of these. Ritual is it's a not a great thriller, but this is from the Screen Media Dark Side line. It's a little too long. It is really gory, really brutal. Probably should be about half the length that it is. But again, I guess for genre fans, people who like that kind of that particular horror subgenre, I guess you're okay. Let's see, Red Line, also kind of in the same vein, tries to be a white-knuckle thriller about people who are trapped on a subway train when a terrorist attack happens, and it then becomes Speed, basically. And it's not nearly as good as the subway, what was the Korean film? That great Korean film was like Speed on a subway train. I can't remember. Oh, it's just fantastic. Anyway, it's not bad. I mean, it should be better, but if you've got some time to kill, and why not? Absence is a very, very good Blu-ray transfer of a so-so film, and This is one of those psychological thrillers that never quite makes as much sense as it wants to. The idea here is it centers around a how do I put this? It's about a woman whose pregnancy just literally stops, and the explanation for this and how all of this stuff kind of ties together never actually makes any sense. But they maintain a certain amount of tension until it all just gets completely ridiculous and falls apart. Blue Collar Hooligan, really just completely indulgent, blue collar riot movie. No point really in seeing this. This is just this is like something this is from Screen Media as well. This is pretty much from the WWE crowd, except it's not from WWE Entertainment. And then lastly, there is Rock Jocks, which is one of the silliest movies I think I've ever seen in my entire life. This is about the Asteroid Management Initiative, and this is just one of those silly, very, very insignificant independent films that kind of hopes that they'll get a little bit of traction just by the name of the movie and the gamers, geeks, heroes. Joes like this don't just fall out of the sky. Thank goodness, nobody in this movie can act. It's really quite an embarrassment. And with that, Mark, tell us about some of the movies that have recently graced our screens in theaters.
Well, before that, Wade, I'll tell you what's coming out via Criterion in November.
Oh, thank goodness.
Come on, we got, here's what we have. We have
yes.
Frances Ha.
Which people love. I have not seen Frances Ha yet, but I know a lot of people love it.
People love it.
Alonzo went nuts for it. He just thinks it's one of the best films of the year.
I'm a big fan of Noah Baumbach, so does it deserve Criterion treatment? Because that's obviously top shelf. I can't really speak to that, but it is coming out in November. Tokyo Story, the Ozu film, is coming out. It's a 4K digital restoration. Now, when you take a 4K digital restoration of an Ozu film, it probably takes up about 17 Blu-rays. Nice. Ozu films are all very long, and nothing much happens in terms of shot composition, definitely.
Nice.
In terms of camera movement, in terms of just blocking, shots last forever.
Right.
It's an Ozu film.
Yeah.
So if you like Ozu, you know what you're getting. Saving the big one for last, Wade. We also have Zatoichi. I never get that name right. I'm pretty sure it's Zatoichi.
Yep.
The Blind Swordsman. There's been 75,000 of these movies that started in 62, went up until 73.
There are actually...
All of them are coming out on Blu-ray.
There are actually 25 of them. That does not include the 1989 Zatoichi, which is not one of the original Katsu films, or the Takeshi Kitano Miramax film from a few years ago. Those are not canon. Those are just, part of the Zatoichi lore, but they're not part of the Katsu films. The Katsu films are the actual original films. There's a couple of TV series incarnations, too. Those 25 films, a really fascinating story behind them. And originally, 17 of them had been released by Home Vision, which at the time before it was sold was a sister company to Criterion, and then 7 of them were being released through Animego, who had inherited them through a different deal because some of the films were actually in Katsu's estate, and then Dai went out of business, and Toho inherited the 7, and so there were these divided rights. And the question is, what happened to number 14? We will hopefully answer that when we get the set, because number 14 has never been released on DVD. It's the only one of the 25, never before released. It is now part of this set.
I didn't expect that whole thing, Wade. Will you just be quiet already? Jesus Christ, what don't you know?
I know.
The other big one for November, folks, save your money, save your shekels. Got to make this happen. City Lights. Charlie Chaplin on Blu-ray from 1931, probably his greatest film.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not get that, you do not love movies.
Nope.
That's all I have to say. Wade, let's talk about the 2 films that you so beautifully set me up to discuss. Pawn Shop Chronicles is the latest sub-Tarantino BS from the horrible director Wayne Kramer.
Oh, Wayne Kramer.
He's the worst. God, that guy's the worst. He just makes crappy films. You know what? Here's the thing, though. You can tell he makes crappy films. This is all he can get made. Some sub-Tarantino, three stories that are interconnected by one thread, kind of a vignette-y thing, Pulp Fiction-y, blah, blah. It's just the worst.
It's a little that's kind of passé now, isn't it?
Got a good cast: Brendan Fraser, Elijah Wood, Vincent D'Onofrio plays the pawn shop owner, who was sort of the thread between these three stories, and it's just a big country fried redneck movie about crap. It's just so bad. Anyway, but again, it's a good cast. So, but I would forget Pawn Shop Chronicles. A little bit better is At Any Price. Now, At Any Price was directed by Ramin Barani, whose last film I was very fond of, called Goodbye Solo.
Oh, really? That's the same director?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
Now, unfortunately, Goodbye Solo, good film. At Any Price, not a good film. Here's the thing. I kind of gave up on this film, actually, after a while, because I just didn't like it. But I'm going to read to you the back of the Blu-ray box. And you tell me how either A, cliched, or B, silly this all sounds. In the competitive world of modern agriculture...
Oh, my gosh.
So already you're out the door.
It is cutthroat.
You're half out the door.
It's
already.
cutthroat.
In the competitive world of modern agriculture, ambitious Henry Whipple, played by Dennis Quaid. By the way, nobody as handsome and ageless as Dennis Quaid should play a guy named Whipple.
No.
Whipple is a name that is reserved for nerds and dorky teachers.
Oh.
Can't be doing that. So already 2 strikes. Competitive agriculture and Whipple. He wants his rebellious son, Dean, to help expand his family's farming empire. However, Dean has his sights set on becoming a professional race car driver.
Oh, gee.
3 strikes, you're out. You have competitive world of modern agriculture. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Whipple, only for nerds and teachers. And the kid wants to be a race car driver. Cliched.
Bad.
Put it all together, I dumped out on this film. Has Zac Efron, Heather Graham. Heather Graham, by the way.
Ageless.
She's 40 now.
She's older than 40, dude. She's older than 40.
I'm going to check right now.
Check. I guarantee you she's older than 40.
What's your guess? I'll say 43.
40, yeah, somewhere in there. I'm going to say 43.
Stand by. She is 43.
Thank you.
Is she married? Is she lesbian? Does she have kids? What's her deal?
She's just out there being roller girl. That's what she's doing. Mark, Standing Up is the latest film from DJ Caruso, and DJ Caruso, I have such mixed feelings about his career. The Salton Sea, promising, not terribly good. Two for the Money, terrible. Eagle Eye, unfreaking watchable. Just dreadful movie. Standing Up, not bad. This is an exclusive at Walmart right now, so you're not going to find this anywhere other than Walmart.
You know Heather Graham dated Adam Ant?
Yes, I did know that.
Did you really know that?
Yeah, I did know that.
What? That's just the most bizarre pairing.
It is what it is.
Married. Heather Graham dated Adam Ant.
Yes, Heather Graham was also Annie on Twin Peaks. And she's trapped in the Black Lodge to this day, and nobody really knows how to get her out. I mean, the last I remember was the Dale's doppelganger had a cut on his forehead, and he was like laughing maniacally and staring into the mirror, saying, "Where's Annie? Where's Annie?" And meanwhile, she's trapped in the Black Lodge. And that was, like 16 years ago, 17 years ago. I'm a little tired of that. Could we free her from the Black Lodge, please? Thank you. That's my Twin Peaks rant for the day.
Heather Graham dated Adam Ant.
So, Standing Up, Walmart exclusive, comes in a Blu-ray, DVD, and Vudu digital copy combo set. Mind you, that is not ultraviolet, even though Vudu does enable ultraviolet. There are also Vudu exclusive digital copies, as if that weren't confusing enough. And DJ Caruso really here has just done kind of a family-friendly, sweet and charming, totally uncharacteristic version of Moonrise Kingdom. So it's not as awesome as Moonrise Kingdom. It doesn't have the cool, twist to it as Moonrise Kingdom does. But it's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. The kids are good, and, it's a couple of kids at summer camp that, run away and go on an adventure. And it's endearing and well done, and, it's not cloying or condescending in the ways that a lot of these films often are. Chandler Canterbury and Annalise Basso are both great. And you know who else is in this film?
Heather Graham?
Radha Mitchell. Again, she's great. She's terrific. Who's not so great in this film is the actor that I actually saw live on stage playing Moses, and that would be Val Kilmer. He needs a haircut, and he needs to lose some weight, and he needs to get a real role again. Just saying. That's what I'm saying. He's got to stop it. The Painting is, this is a special edition Blu-ray DVD combo set. of one of the more really fascinating kind of animated films that I have seen in a very, very long time. This is just so unusual, and you're not going to see an animated film like this probably ever again. The whole thing is kind of this fantasy fable that takes place inside a painting. So the painting itself is the canvas, as it were, for this story, and it kind of winds up being it uses the context of the painting as kind of a fable about the real world. So everything is very allegorical, and about the different classes and castes that we have in society. Really interesting, some interesting extras on here about how the artwork was done and the concept art and so forth. The story itself, probably not as effective just because it's a little bit overwhelmed by the artwork, but boy, the artwork is really, really interesting, and I do recommend it just for that alone. So definitely check this out. That is called The Painting, and that, I believe, was in theaters for about 18 seconds. All these movies, they just don't have any shelf life anymore. An animated film that is on the other end of the spectrum that never should have been made is Epic. This is from the Blue Sky Studios, who do the Ice Age films for 20th Century Fox. And this does come with an ultraviolet digital copy, and boy, this is just pointless. There's kind of a class of animated films that are emerging now from the studios where they are effectively telling anime stories, but they are draining all of there's nothing interesting about the artwork, nothing particularly interesting about the...
it's so generic. I mean, it's called Epic.
I know, it's so generic. It's just really dreadful.
Stop that.
Some interesting voice.
Why not just call it movie?
Yeah, essentially this is it's the Lord of the Rings transposed into a much more uninteresting backdrop. And no one went to see this because nobody really knew what it was about. And you watch it and you just feel like you've seen this 150,000 times. And the animation is also in a weird kind of in-between place. It's like they want it to still look animated, but they want it to be a little bit photorealistic, but not so photorealistic that it detracts from the fact that it's an animated film. So they find that they mine this weird kind of netherworld, this like purgatory, where that makes the animation so unbelievably uninteresting and devoid of actually any style that what's the point? So boy, that's a big waste of time. That's a Blu-ray, DVD, digital, HD, ultraviolet combo jack pack. Rock on. A bunch of extras that aren't really worthwhile. That's how cranky I am today.
You're always cranky.
I'm always cranky.
Because I didn't bake anything today. By the way, the reason why I didn't bake anything today...
Why?
Is because, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Went to the doctor.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not true. I had a feeling.
Yes.
I had a sense.
Yes.
I went to this party.
Mm-hmm.
I think I told you guys about this party. I saw Diane Lane at this party. Martha Kent. Saw her at the party.
Yeah.
Ate a lot at the party.
Yep.
I realized I think I'm getting fat.
Uh-oh.
Weighed myself. I gained 11 pounds.
Oh, no.
That's a lot. 11 pounds.
That's
something.
fair amount.
It's
yeah.
Like, 3 pounds.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Shutting it down. Got to shut it down.
Okay.
Get back to my regular weight. So here's the thing. How are you going to do that, Mark? How are you going to get back to your regular weight?
I don't know.
Now, normally what I would do is I would do a food diary, Wade. You do the food diary. Everything you put in your mouth, besides like tea and water, you put in the diary. I did that for a while, a couple times. Kind of worked. Then you realize you wind up eating 7 cookies and going, I'm not going to put that in the diary. Because if I don't put it in the diary, it didn't happen. So the food diary didn't work. Then came up with another plan. This plan...
From diary to diarrhea.
No.
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 Okay.
I swallowed a tapeworm like those Japanese girls.
Okay.
I did not.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Every morning, I weigh myself. Right? Because if you weigh yourself, you can't fool the scale.
Ah, well, there you go.
So you know what that is, Wade? You know what we call that? Consequences. If you eat a bunch of crap during the day, the consequence is, step on the scale, you're mad at yourself. Eat good, consequence, step on the scale, you're happy, you lost weight. So now I write down my weight every day in the bathroom. Got a pad, pen, I really do.
Nice.
Just saying, put it out there. So you have nothing to eat today. Yes, Wade.
Over 30 petitions sprung up on change.org overnight to cast another actor as Batman.
Wait, can I turn the air conditioner on? It's so hot.
Yeah, go ahead, turn it on. Why not?
Okay.
Fans rained a torrent of criticism down upon the internet just minutes after Warner Brothers announced to cast Ben Affleck as the next Batman in its upcoming Batman vs. Superman tentpole, with more than 30 petitions springing up on Change.com to remove the actor. With vitriol oddly reminiscent of the backlash to Heath Ledger's casting as the Joker in 2008's The Dark Knight, fans took to the web to condemn everything from Affleck's star power to his acting chops. His acting skill is not even close to being believable as Bruce Wayne, and he won't do the role justice, said one anti-Affleck petition, the true 3,200 signatures. Oh my gosh.
You know, the thing is that they said the same thing about Michael Keaton, and he was like a comic actor before Batman.
An online petition on We the People section of the White House petition system, which allows Americans to ask the Obama administration to take action on a range of important issues facing our country, requested to make it illegal for Ben Affleck to portray Batman or any superhero on film for the next 200 years. But the White House blocked the petition and removed it from the site for being in violation of the terms of participation. Oh, that is just absolutely hysterical. And there's a screenshot here of it. We petitioned the Obama administration to make it illegal for Ben Affleck to portray Batman in parentheses or any superhero in parentheses on film for the next 200 years. That is brilliant. That's
and the thing is that if it gets enough...
Whoever did that deserves a Nobel Prize.
If it gets enough signatures, it has to go...
I know.
They have to address it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's so brilliant.
All right, Wade, we're going to start wrapping it up soon because you have an interview,
funny.
Wade.
I do. We have an interview. Let's finish up the new films and then we'll do it.
Forget this movie. Talk about films people care about. Why have we not talked about any films people care about?
Well, we're going to in a second.
All right, Errors of the Human Body. Errors of the Human Body
finish
is
it up. Knock it out.
It's this... I didn't like this film, but I can kind of see how people do like this film. There's this doctor whose son dies, and he winds up doing these kind of experiments on mutation and regeneration. Of course, nothing ever goes as planned, and it winds up being a whole bunch of crap. But the thing is that I'm surprised how character-centric it was. It really kind of it takes its character seriously and doesn't just throw him under the bus for all the blood and the gore. I kind of appreciated that. Ultimately, I don't think the film was all that successful, but I did respect that it's not just like The Human Centipede. It tries to be something a little bit better. So Errors of the Human Body is right now from IFC Midnight, available on DVD.
Brilliant. And then from Magnolia on Blu-ray is a film that I'm shocked that I like because it's a vampire movie. It's Kiss of the Damned, which was written and directed by Zan Cassavetes, daughter of John Cassavetes, who I met briefly some years ago when we were on tandem juries at the AFI Fest. And she had a documentary in competition then as well. Super talented lady, really cool. And love her first name because her first name is my daughter's middle name. So anyway, it's short for Alexandra in this case. But it's essentially kind of a love triangle: two vampire sisters and then a human guy who happens to be a screenwriter. But the whole thing is again so allegorical that it's really not about vampires. It's much more about gender roles and all kinds of societal issues. And she does a great job with it. Really cool commentary. And a few interesting little featurette interview things on it as well. A very, very nice transfer. Lots of really very effective work with the darks and the shadows on the Blu-ray.
Now wait, if you want to get a Blu-ray,
yep, that
is pretty much a documentary of our childhood. What Zan Cassavetes film must you rent? Go.
The Z Channel. That was the documentary that was in competition at AFI Fest.
And actually, I was in Cannes the year that screened, and Zan was there.
It's a great film.
Along with Tarantino was with her as her guest, and it's a terrific documentary that you guys, if you don't live in California, don't know if you'll get as much out of it, but I still think it's a great documentary. All right, Mark, I have in my hands from the director of Romeo plus Juliet and Moulin Rouge, The Great Gatsby. Wait, I like this movie. Look, I got in my hands here the Blu-ray DVD Ultraviolet combo disc and the Blu-ray 3D Blu-ray DVD Ultraviolet combo disc. I think the 3D in this movie is unbelievably annoying. I saw it in 3D. Terrible.
On Blu-ray, the Blu-ray 3D is headache-inducing. It is freaking headache-inducing. It's so bright, and the dimensionality just jumps back and forth, and everything moves and cuts so quickly. It's just a nightmare. The regular Blu-ray, you can tell you're kind of missing something, that they designed so much of it to be very dimensional. It's not headache-inducing, but yet it winds up being a little bit more lackluster as a result because it's clear that the visuals were not quite designed to be 2D. But that being said, this movie is just, it drove me nuts. Tell me what you liked about it.
Better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If there are very few... The Great Gatsby lends itself to Baz Luhrmann's gifts, let's say, because it is about this hedonistic time, and this guy just throws nothing but lavish parties, and who's going to throw a lavish party like Baz Luhrmann?
Yeah, like 2/3 of the movie is party.
That's
It's just.
But the question is, can Luhrmann sell the other side of it, which is when you realize who Gatsby is? Not as well.
No,
but still, I will say this: it is better than the horrible Robert Redford one. That one sucked.
Neither one of them really works for me.
And by the way, DiCaprio, good, very good. You know why?
Yeah.
Nowadays, very few actors have the mystique to be the Great Gatsby.
Then what accent was he using? Because it was kind
All
of
of
like... Because it was like a little bit Bostonian, kind of mid-Atlantic, Southern, half British, Welsh. What the... I don't know what that was.
I liked him.
All right, old
I'm just
sport.
saying.
All right, old sport.
You know what? I'll say this too about that. If DiCaprio, not his fault.
No.
If DiCaprio said the words "old sport" one more time in that
Yeah.
script, I was going to start throwing things at the screen.
Yeah, okay.
But put it this way: it is the best version of F. Scott Fitzgerald's classic novel ever made. However, the bar is very low.
Yeah, that's
So
for
that
sure.
being said, I still
Way
have
low.
to say that despite its problems, I liked it.
All right. Well, now we have covered all the new movies. We've got a few more things that we're going to knock out after the interview. But here, without further ado, I want you to listen to my brief chat with Scott McGeehee and David Siegel, the directors of What Maisie Knew and the amazing films Suture and The Deep End. If you haven't seen them, you need to. These guys are great. They have still not hit their stride, in my opinion, but this was a wonderful chat. Here we go. Scott McGeehee and David Siegel.
Before we get going, let me have you each speak and introduce yourselves so that our listeners can hopefully differentiate your voices in the interview. Scott, David, go ahead.
Well, this is David Siegel, and I say more intelligent and artful things than Scott McGeehee.
And this is Scott McGeehee, and I beg to differ.
All right. You know what? I have been such a huge fan of both of you guys for the longest time. All the way back to Suture, which was just such a revelation at the time that I saw it. It just came out at the right time as far as independent film was concerned. And this is such an interesting trajectory for your careers to have gone to this point, a contemporary adaptation of a Henry James novel. You always surprise people. Could you just really quickly tell us how do you take a Henry James novel and contemporize it and come up with a film that feels as though it's completely contemporary?
Well, first, thank you so much for the kind words about our trajectory.
Thanks a lot, Wade. I mean, we didn't write this, so the script was shown to us, and frankly, when it was told to us before we read it, a child custody battle, basically. We thought, this is going to be rough. It's going to be maudlin in some way, one way or another. But the script was kind of light on its feet. It had been written quite a number of years before we saw it, so there was some script work that we did, and there was a little bit of bringing it into 2012. But we were really struck with the idea of trying to, from a kind of formal filmmaking, sort of standpoint, trying to tell a story, from a child's point of view, from a 6-year-old's point of view, because it forces you to reconsider all the most basic aspects of making movies. Where a camera is, what comes in and out of frame, what characters hear, what they don't hear, how sound and music and everything else works in relation to subjectivity, but distilled down to the subjectivity of one character who happens to be 3.5 feet tall.
Was there ever a point, and obviously you said, this had been around for a while before you guys came on board, was there ever a point at which anyone said, maybe we should do this as a period film, maybe it works better in the original context? Because that seems to be the bravest thing. Everyone I know who's seen this can't believe that it's based on a Henry James novel. It's like, how would that ever work in a Henry James context? We've all seen the Merchant Ivory films, the Bostonians, and so forth, and everyone sort of knows Henry James's sensibilities, and this just feels so immediate, so of the moment. It's sort of hard to bridge that gap in a lot of people's minds. I mean, did you go back to the original novel for any reason?
We did go back to the original novel just to read it, and we were open to what we might find when we did that, but I don't think there was anything in the original novel that we thought was missing from the screenplay we had read in terms of like the story that we saw making a good movie. The screenwriters did a really good job, I think, of figuring out what pieces of the James to kind of include in their take on it. We were both really surprised going back to the James, though, at just how modern the novel is. It's a novel about a custody battle, and it's set in 1897 or whenever it was that it was written, and I mean, just that alone surprised us, I think. But then, the way that parents are selfish and the way they use their daughter in their own kind of battle with each other, and the kind of sexual escapades they get into, all of that was really surprising to find in the source material.
I mean, we had heard that he wrote the book. The book is more darkly satiric than the movie. And we had heard that the book was inspired by hearing about a joint custody situation, which he found absurd, because it was so uncommon, and it seemed, to his mind, like, well, how could that be, in the best interest of the child? But the emotional kind of push and pull that kind of situation exerts on a kid, it's not so different.
The obvious question is, if you're making a movie on this subject matter that's contemporary, there are some obvious comparisons. Everyone's going to say, oh, it's like Kramer versus Kramer, which is a really tough comparison. Or they may say, oh, it reminds me of Irreconcilable Differences, which it was, a kind of a shameless maudlin vehicle for a very young Drew Barrymore coming off of the success of E.T. Were either of those things in the back of your minds that we need to make sure we're our own thing, we distance ourselves from those, or were you never really concerned that it would have a character of its own?
We didn't really. Yeah, of course we were aware of the possibility of comparison that way, but we weren't really so worried about it because it was such a different approach. The whole conceit of the film, of this particular movie, was so different. This idea of, what Maisie knew, everything that happens in front of her, that you really are trying to isolate the point of view. And it just seemed like it was we gained confidence, I think, just thinking, well, it really has its own voice.
You led me right to my next question, which is you have some great actors here: Julianne Moore, Steve Coogan, Alexander Skarsgård. You need to put a child in the midst of that who can hold her own with that amazing cast. Where on earth did Onata April come from, and what was it like directing her?
Well, first off, isn't that the most insane thing that you've ever heard anyone thinking that they could do? When we think about it retrospectively, it's like, what were we doing? But we did find her, and we sure feel lucky about it. A.V. Kaufman cast it. She's a great casting director and had done work with kids before. She found Haley Joel Osment for the 6 films. But we didn't find Onata until we were less than a month away from shooting, and we were getting pretty panicked about it, but A.V. never sort of lost her confidence that we were going to find the right person. And she really is that. Like, that performance really is hers. We didn't really have to overcut her work any more than we had to cut Julianne Moore, or Coogan, or Alexander. It was really an amazing thing. And not only, did we, have the kind of good fortune of that, but Onata she just wanted to be there so much, and she was enjoying herself so much, and she was such a natural, normal kid, not really precocious, and, that kind of generosity of spirit that kind of Maisie exhibits in the movie, not to kind of have that in her own self. I mean, I know I'm gushing about her, but we really do, we really really loved working with her.
You know, and a question I know you've been asked countless times, but you are one of the handful of in the history of film, the handful of successful directing teams that keeps making movies together who are not brothers. It's really a remarkable thing. Could you talk just for a second about what your approach is and how you're able to, you know, keep it fresh? Is fighting not part of it? Is fighting part of it? Is it sometimes fighting? Is it never fighting? How does it work?
We don't fight much, to be honest. I mean, we were friends before we started working together, and you know, I think that's really the root of our collaboration. Is that, you know, we like each other and respect each other, and you know, enjoy each other's company and trust each other. But we, you know, neither of us went to film school, so we didn't know better kind of than to do it together when we started out, and we sort of developed a process of, you know, just, you know, planning really carefully so we know what the other one's thinking all the time. You know, we've sort of, you know.
Well, we've written a lot together. You know, that's, like, I think the foundation of our creative work really comes from the writing that we've done. But it does require us to, like what Scott was saying before I just interrupted him. It does require that we're very thorough about the way we go about things, so that people understand that there's one voice. But after so many years, you can imagine, you know, it's we can sort of see each other thinking. We can kind of hear each other thinking in a way.
Well, one of the things that has always impressed me in your work is that there's, and some people might take this as not a compliment, but what I love about your work is that there is no identifiable style. That every movie has its own style, and you could not show this movie to someone who has seen Suture or who has seen The Deep End and know without someone telling you that it's the same team who's done all three films. There's nothing to suggest it. You adapt your style to the material in a way that I think is extremely mature and that we don't even see from veteran directors these days. So bravo. I applaud you for what you've done.
Thanks a lot, Wade. We really appreciate that.
Last question on that account. What do we have next to look forward to?
Well, I wish we knew. We're working on a couple of things that are, you know, like strangely and kind of coincidentally, the two projects we're working hardest on right now are both biopics, but which we've never done before. You know, like movies about actual historical people who, you know, are living or have lived on Earth. But you know, we've been at it long enough to know that what we're working on and what we'll do next might be two different things.
Right.
So we'll see.
Well, we will all certainly look forward to it. So I thank you both, and our listeners have already been urged last week to go out and pick up the Blu-ray and the DVD. It was one of our top recommendations on last week's show. So
thank you very much.
Thanks.
Absolutely lovely couple of guys.
They are.
Great
and
couple of guys.
I like their films a lot.
They're awesome.
I think they're kind of on their way.
So some listener mail stuff before we wrap it all up here. You know, we've offered in the past to plug stuff, and Eric Altieri asked us to do a plug for movie. A low-budget feature he worked on a few years ago in the New Bedford, Fairhaven, Massachusetts area. And it's been around the festivals. It's now on Hulu. It's called Fairhaven. Fairhaven, dated 2013. And you know what immediately caught my attention was that one of the actors in it, Chris Messina. And I love Chris Messina. Chris Messina is a great actor. Really underrated actor. So even though we have not seen it, I have no problem plugging anything that helps our good friend Eric Altieri and Chris Messina. That's Fairhaven. So give a look at Fairhaven. And if you're so inclined, hit us up and let us know at godsdigigods.com what you thought of Fairhaven. It's out there. So
we're not talking about any of those, including the one on the bottom, which you're going to give me.
You know, let's.
You're not giving me that.
No, of course I'm not. But you know what? We've got a little bit of time here at the end, so let's talk just real quickly.
Actually, wait, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So when a publicist emails you after a screening and says, "Hey, I want to see what you thought of last night's screening of X," do you email back or not?
It depends.
Okay. Depends on what?
It just depends on my mood. That's what it depends on.
So I shouldn't feel obligated?
No, don't feel obligated.
Now, wait, I want this movie now. You're giving it to me.
No, you're not. We love To Be or Not to Be. Ernst Lubitsch's amazing Jack Benny classic now on Blu-ray from Criterion. We have a few classic films here that are just going to have to wait until next week, but it'll be worth the wait. To Be or Not to Be is just so unbelievably great. Now, this was remade, incidentally. Was it in the...
Mel Brooks.
In the 80s. It was in the late 80s Mel Brooks did this? Anyway, and his remake is not bad.
Well,
it's not bad. It's not this. It's nothing like this, but it's not bad. It was certainly dignified and paid homage to it. Amazing film, absolutely hysterical. Maybe the best thing that Jack Benny ever did on film. Just classic comedy, and very black comedy too. I mean, it's a dark and very prescient film in many respects. Made in 1942. The way that it sort of factors into the U.S. role in World War II, which happened shortly after the film was released, is really interesting. And you get a bunch of great extras here. A couple of episodes from the Screen Guild Theater, which was this radio anthology series that Jack Benny was a part of, as well as a radio adaptation of the film. And Pincus's Shoe Palace, this 1916 German silent short that was done by Ernest Lubitsch and a bunch of other stuff. It's just great. So you want to definitely go pick that up. That's one of the great Criterion releases of the year, To Be or Not to Be, with Jack Benny and the fantastic Carole Lombard.
Yep, love it.
And with that, Mark, do we have any outros we want to do? You know what? Alexander Berlika wanted you to say, "That's the truth, Ruth." Do you want? You're willing to do that?
Well, we have a bunch.
Okay.
I don't know. Now we have Tav had given us "It's in the Can" or maybe cut and print. Don't know if I want that one. I feel like that might be too on the nose, although very film centric.
You got to pick one.
It is film legitimate. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do one of Eric Altieri. Should I do one of Eric Altieri's?
Go ahead.
So are we done?
We're close. Finish this up.
Okay, here we go. You ready, folks?
Ready.
Have a great week. We'll see you next time. And until next time, don't go in the basement.